You ever completely wiped out after a tough workout? I know I can think of a few examples from high school, college workouts, or did a CrossFit workout once that absolutely kicked my butt. And while it's good to have a sense of accomplishment from doing something hard, doing something difficult, and getting through it, I think it's good feeling sore and tired just for that sense of accomplishment, but that can definitely wipe you out, not just after, but for the rest of the day too, especially if it's a really tough workout. Especially as former athletes, we love to push ourselves to the very edge. If you're sick in the head, like me at least, we like to push ourselves and see what we're capable of. And yeah, it's hard to shake that. But beyond sports, I think it's more so about like just being the best version of the best version of yourself, more energetic, more productive throughout the day. And I think exercise is a great tool for that. But it can do the opposite if we push ourselves too far. It can affect our energy, mood, recovery if we push ourselves too far in a workout, especially if we're doing it consistently day after day. I'm not a big overtraining person, if you've heard of that, but I think it's definitely possible if you push your body too far. It just can't keep up. So I think it's important as a former athlete learning to keep some in the tank when you're working out and not selling out completely every time. There's a time and a place for it, but I think it's more so important to use exercise as a tool to make your days better and not worse. For me personally, for a while after college, I would obviously some freedom in how you work out, but I would push it a little too far just because that was how I knew how to train. But I was trying to work out every day and just wasn't sustainable with how hard I was pushing it every day. Caught up to me, depleted energy, and didn't recover well, got injured. You get that feeling of accomplishment from doing a hard workout, but zaps your energy and your ability to recover. And obviously part of it was just through becoming more knowledgeable on training as well as experimenting with myself and what's most efficient, especially if I'm training every day, which I still do. I had to adapt and figure out a way that's more sustainable, and that consisted of frick. That consisted of leaving some in the tank more often, not every workout, but just realized the workouts themselves, recovery, the rest of the day was all better and more productive when I left some in the tank, whether that's with how many calories I'm burning, how high the heart rate's getting, how much weight I'm pushing around. There's different ways to regulate intensity, and just got smarter with that. Still push it hard every once in a while, but more so each day would leave some in the tank, and just started to leave workouts feeling better than when I walked in, which is, I think, after your athletic career, I think that's one of, at least for me, I think it's been a great reason to continue training and kind of the why for training. And I think that can benefit other former athletes using exercise not as a tool to get better at your sport anymore, but as a tool to make your days and overall quality of life better. And I think that comes from leaving some in the tank and leaving the gym better than when you arrive most days, which can take some learning to figure out how to find that middle ground of what that feels like. It takes some discipline to do that, but it just comes through trial and error. There's a time and a place to push yourself to failure and sell out and empty the tank, but most of the time should be spent, most workouts, you should leave some of the tank and leave feeling better than you left. Our goal as, especially as former athletes, as to be a better worker, a better family member, a better friend, I think our goal should be to become our best, most energetic and productive selves. And I think that comes from leaving some in the tank and having productive workouts without completely selling out a majority of the time. Again, that comes from experimenting and feeling that out, where it's you still want to push the weight and get after it and get a good sweat. You don't want to not be productive at all, because you can't make progress that way. There's the overload principle, which just basically says you have to stress your system to get adaptation, but that doesn't mean you have to overly stress your system every single workout. So just finding that happy medium and feeling what it looks like to leave some in the tank while still having a good productive workout. How I personally like to implement this is I'll have 1 or 2 days a week where I'll sell out a little bit more, so higher volume workouts, taking it closer to failure, or like with cardio, 1 day a week where I'll push it a little longer time duration. So I'll sprinkle that in 1 or 2 days a week, usually towards the end of the week, so I can recover over the weekend better. And then also throughout a phase, I usually do 4 weeks of each phase. So that like first week, second week, more leaving a lot in the tank, just getting a feel for the movements, because there's going to be some soreness that comes from just introducing new movements. So you can use that as a time to introduce those, get a feel for the technique, leave feeling good, keep your body feeling good, and then more so weeks 3 and 4, you can push the weights a little bit more, push the intensity a little bit more, get a little closer to failure. And that's where I'm at today, pushing it a little closer. This is week 3 of this phase, and then week 4 will be more so like maxing out and maybe even failing some sets, just pushing it closer to that. So how I like to personally approach it, sprinkle it in a little bit during the week, as well as towards the latter parts of a phase, latter weeks of a phase. That's where I have those workouts, taking it closer to failure and leaving more exhausted, and yeah, not completely getting wiped out after those, but yeah, just getting a little closer to that. Overall, time and a place for both, but go into your workouts, leaving some in the tank, and see how you feel throughout the day. See if you're more energetic and productive, especially if you're a morning workout person. If it's late in the day, a little different, but again, pushing it too far can affect your sleep and recovery for the next day. So leave some in the tank. Don't gotta be a hero every day. Just gotta find that balance.